Awesome. So welcome to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. Today is Friday, September the 10th, 2021, and our call-in number is 563-999-3581, and press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us, and we love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And the first hour was, Dr. Tim did the first part and then did the interview with Dr. Andrew Plinger. So that was an excellent interview, very knowledgeable young man. So let's wait for just a moment, give Michael time to get on, and we're starting just a little bit early, so that means we have a little extra time for your questions. So I hope that you press 1 and ask those questions. And in the meantime, I'll invite you to go to our website, which is whyagain.org, and you can scroll around and find all kinds of audios and videos and Michael's book and worksheets for every workshop that we do, and put the tools to work in your life, and you will see a change. So somebody press 1. Still waiting on Michael to call in. And I'm going to turn on 417. Hello, Miss Judy. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Since Michael gave me the mind shifter, I've been working on it, and I'm into 60 worksheets on that and had a healing crisis, and I'm through that and pain-free some days. And then, of course, you know what happens. You go back in through it again. But I had a thought while Dr. Tim was on. And
yes, ma'am.
I know whenever you and Michael give the workshops that one of the first things you do is you have two sides of the board. One side is the side when we're off target, and the other side is when we're on. And I realized that the side when we're off target is when we're living in the past. And the side where we're on target, we're living in the present.
You just defined Satan. Truly, in the Aramaic sense, the word Satan means the resistor, one who misleads. And then there's a conversation in the scriptures where God ostensibly is talking to Satan, and God says, Satan, from whence come you? And Satan says, from going to and fro upon the earth, from going back and forth upon it. What is to and fro, back and forth? But holding on to the experiences of the past. Locked in that, we're in resistance, and then we've always got somebody to blame because, of course, that past situation replicates itself, and always the replicant mind is lying to us. So, yeah, that's you're right on track with that one.
Yeah, well, I hadn't looked at it from that point of view as, just looking at that whole list of things on both sides of the board, the past and the present, and everything just fits right in. So that's one of the ways I'm going to start looking at it. Or the blue pill or the red pill. Yeah, Jeannie likes to quote from the Matrix movie. I understand there's a new Matrix movie coming out soon, but the red pill or the blue pill. The blue pill, you stay asleep, the right side of the board. The red pill, you wake up to being. Thank you for the mind shifter, by the way. I'm still working on it. I haven't even gotten halfway through it. And maybe not That's even awesome. That, because I'm adding other ones in with it. I went down and got me one of these little dollar store general notebooks, and I just wrote my mind shifter in that. And then I started numbering the pages, going back and checking to see what it was I was working on. And, of course, I'm adding worksheets in there every day, too. But it's really moving, Michael, and I thank you and Jeannie for your work, and just wanted to, it was so clear about this is the past and this is the present, and it all fits. It just fits. So I'm going to look at it that way from now on. Whenever I'm feeling off target, I'm living in the past and try to get back to the present as quick as possible.
Awesome catch, young lady.
By the way, how do I mute?
In the past. Go ahead.
I was going to say, how do I mute whenever I get off? I don't know how to do that.
I'll mute you.
Okay, thank you.
So that past is the place where spiritually, as awake, aware spiritual beings, there can only be the present. And when that present isn't in awareness, and there's a reason they call it the present, because whenever they're there, we're there, there's a gift, there's a present, and that's the presence of love. But when we're not there, that's where Yeshua talked about, let the blind lead the blind, let the dead bury the dead. You know, there's a case where this man wants to, I'm going to come follow you. He said, first I got to go bury my father. You know, in that culture, it was a tradition that a man took care of his father's burial when he died. But his father wasn't dead, so it might have been another 25 years. And Yeshua was like, okay, enough of these excuses. You're not going to get away with this. If you're going to follow me, you're going to come to it right now. Let the dead bury the dead. Let those who are already, lost take care of that. And if you're actually going to do the work, and, most of the world has no interest whatsoever in the work of Yeshua. In fact, most circles where Yeshua's work is spoken of, his name they use is Jesus, and that's not his name at all, but in most circles, there is no interest in the work whatsoever, and in fact, it's the exact opposite. You can't do anything is the message that comes from so many circles that are supposedly Christian. You can't do anything. You have to rely on him. Well, that's a nice, interesting philosophy, but it's Greek philosophy. If you go back and listen to Yeshua, he says, here's what you have to do. And when he said, here's what you have to do, half of his disciples got up and left. And they made up this easy theology that, well, there's nothing you can do. All you have to do is call on him. And it's just a simple, flat-out, plain, bald-faced lie. It's just the exact opposite of what the man taught. But, people set up rules and regulations to live by, and then when they live up to those rules and regulations, which oftentimes become much, much more important than what he said was he came to do, and that was to bring us life, that is, to bring us into the presence of love, a whole lot more important than that. You got to follow the rules, and then, you can be superior. And there's so many games that get played when people are stuck in the past, dead, blind. So it's about building the brain cells, the eyes to see and the ears to hear, and waking up and truly, truly entering a transformational process that leads us back to experiencing ourselves and the world in the present as we were created, and that is as the presence of love. So congratulations on doing that piece of work. That's awesome. Any other thoughts for you, Judy? Judy already muted?
Yeah, I will unmute her and see.
Okay, I'm here.
So any other thoughts for you? Does that make sense? Does that fit?
Yes, it does, and it just fits more and more. The more work I do, it's taken years to get even to this point. So, oh boy, it definitely is a lifetime work.
I understand.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay.
You are loud and clear, young lady.
Okay, good. I was getting ready to go out the door and listen to you as I was going. I was going to go do my laundry. So I was listening to Dr. Tim's show. I am just amazed at how his networking is so wonderful. And I'm so glad that he's part of your show. Part of the podcast there.
We are blessed.
Yes.
Well, any other thoughts for you?
Nope, I'm good.
Awesome. Well, you have a blessed one then. Enjoy doing your laundry.
Thanks both of you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Well, Miss Jeannie, do we have anybody else out there in listener land with a hand up or anything happening in the phone queue, or should I just go for the next phase of reading? Why is this happening to me again?
I would go to the reading. We don't have any other hands up, and
okay.
Since we started early, we are just now at the beginning of our hour.
Right at the top of the hour. Perfect.
Yep.
So we've been talking with Richard about the idea that, we started out a conversation. Pardon me. He kind of told me his story, but he's in a pretty peaceful place. And as I start to query him about his story and what's going on in his world, various levels of upset and disturbance come. And when we move into the arena of talking about sexuality and relationships, he becomes significantly disturbed. And I point out to him that notice that here we are sitting on a nice, quiet, screened back porch in the Ozarks in southern Missouri. It's a beautiful day. And nothing has changed in the world in the 3 hours that we've been sitting here talking. But notice, Richard, that you've been on a roller coaster ride. You've been enraged, you've been sad, you've had tears, you've cried, you've been delighted, you've been touched by understanding. And notice, nothing in the external world changed in any way, shape, or form. Now, if you live in a world where you are one moment crying and the next moment happy and the next hour you're sad and then you're angry and then you're rageful, then you want to puke on somebody, then you want to puke on yourself, and notice that all of those changes are changes of energy patterns moving within yourself. The title of this particular chapter in the book, and by the way, you can go to our website and download the book free in several different languages. The title of the chapter is The Body Has a Mind of Its Own. And a lot of people think they're in control of their minds, but all somebody has to do is come along and resonate something painful, and all of a sudden people are flying off the handle and doing all kinds of crazy things. For one reason and one reason only. There is unresolved pain or trauma within. And when you realize what appears to be your mind that serves up pain and trauma from the past, as Judy just pointed out, you're living in the past. The mind of the body is what we call the replicate mind. And replicate means all it can do is replicate whatever's in it. It can't give you anything new. It can't offer you a different experience. It can only replicate what it holds. If you don't like what it holds, you've got to stop having conversations. Well, pardon me, you don't have to. You can carry on with those projection conversations all you like. But if you want to live a life of peace, then you've got to stop having those conversations in your mind. And the way you stop having those conversations in your mind is to remove the content, oftentimes multi-generational content, that never belonged within your mind in the first place. Thoughts based in hate and fear and sadness and grief and rage and vengeance and gossip and slander and condemnation and belittlement and criticism. Thoughts based in that never belonged within a human mind. And when you realize that it's with our thoughts that we create, and you go back and Yeshua says, the power of life and death is in your words. And what are your words? They're but a reflection of your mind energy. Life and death are in the mind energy that you empower, literally, energetically, with your words. Once you realize that, and you wake up to the truth of who you are, you begin to remove those energetic patterns. Now, lest someone in the world fool you to call letting someone else off the hook because your mind is replicating some past trauma from your life or from your generations is a total fraud. Call the act of letting them off the hook forgiveness. This is one that needs to sink in deeply. If you're talking about forgiving them, if you're talking about forgiving yourself, Please be aware, you are not talking about forgiveness at all. You're talking about a Greek act of pardoning. It can be a very nice thing to do. But when you pardon someone for what's going on inside of you, you have in no way, shape, or form entered into the forgiveness process. But if you call, oh, I forgave him, I let him off the hook for that, forgiveness, then thinking that forgiveness is done, you will not turn to the work of removal of the root of your trauma. And if you never remove the root of your trauma, guess what you're going to get to live? You're going to get to live the title of my book. Why is this happening to me again? Or some people, when they call looking for it, call it, why are they doing this to me again? Or why am I doing this to myself again? The only reason anything is happening again is because through the unresolved mind energy that you hold, you're creating it. So forgiveness is the tool with which you collapse perceptions based in any form of hostility or fear, bring the root energy behind that hostility or fear forward consciously, and remove it from your tissue structure. That, my friends, is the act of forgiving. Again, it has nothing to do with letting anybody else off the hook because of what's happening inside of you. It is a technology that is profound in its impact, as Judy just explained. And one of the problems that I see is people don't hang around long enough in the conversation to really, truly begin to understand what we're saying. You know, when Judy said, it's taken me this long. Well, Judy's first intensive was about 33 years ago. She was there the first year we were at Heartland. 1989, 32 years ago, I guess that is. And you say, well, Michael, you said yesterday you had been working on some issues that you've worked on your whole life, and here's Judy, 30. Well, if it takes that long, why would I bother? Well, here's why. Let's imagine you are the captain of the largest supertanker in the world, and you're rolling right along in the Gulf Stream at maximum speed. I don't know what the maximum speed of a supertanker is. Whatever it is, let's imagine, the Gulf Stream's carrying you and you're in that current and you're rocking at 40 knots an hour. I don't even know if that's, I'm not a seaman, so, but let's imagine that. And you say to yourself, oh no, I'm going the wrong way. I need to turn this boat around. Do you think the captain of that supertanker can snap his fingers and turn the boat around? No way, shape, or form. It might take hours to turn that boat around. You say, well, then why shouldn't I be able to turn my life around in hours? Well, he's been at sea for 12 hours and picked up to that speed. He's got to slow it down. He's got to get to zero. He's got to turn it around or make a circle. Guess how long the dynamic of your multi-generational database's mind, your body's mind, has been doing what it's doing. Guess how many people there are. By the time you take mom and dad and mom and dad's mom and dad and their mom and dad and theirs before them and theirs before them, if you go back just 30 generations, talking about the inertia, the moving in a direction, just like that supertanker in the Gulf Stream, you're talking about the direction of 1.6 billion people's lives. And unless you've done inner work, I guarantee your life is moving in the direction of mom and dad. and mom and dad's moms and dads. Or it's moving in opposition to, which means it's moving in the same direction. It's only when we get to a still place, a still point, so we call it still point breathing, which incidentally we'll be doing another still point breathing workshop on October the 9th. That'll be our next workshop. To that still point is the place where you can start to turn in another direction. You know, it's interesting here, you go back into the Aramaic language, the word repent is not some word that describes how evil you are and you need to repent of your sins. The word actually means to turn in another direction. Now, a lot of people language, well, you've got to turn away from those evil things. No, you can't turn away from evil. On the level where you're a creator, you've got 360-degree vision. If you try to turn away from it, if you try to fight it, if you try to resist it, as Yeshua said, resist not the evil. He just recreated it. You just got stuck in the stream again. The word repent means to turn toward. So when we can turn toward a different process than the one that most everybody's living in, then everything changes. And we overcome that inertia bound to function out of the generational patterns. So I just pointed out to Richard that the difference between what he's feeling now and what he was feeling when we started is based upon what's happening in his mind. Nothing's changed in the world. And he stepped into a deep processing place. And I've explained that it's going to take some time, and that part of that process, there's going to be a point of overwhelm for virtually everyone when, they're dealing with old realities, old mind structures of inadequacy and inability, and there's a huge demand standing in front of them. It's going to feel like overwhelm at times. So Richard says, okay, I can accept that, but I don't understand why all the confusion. Richard, the nature of thoughts is energy, and they follow the laws of energy. I suspect they have both wave and particle propensities or properties, much like light. If I shine a red light, a blue light, and a green light on a plain white surface, what will you see? Richard says, I see red, I see green, and I see blue light reflecting off the surface. If you shine them one at a time, or if you shine them all on one spot, there'll be a mixing of the colors. He answered with raised eyebrows and a puzzled look. Bear with me, there's a point to this, Richard, I offered. When realities are resonated in a mind, their properties are much like the light. If they surface one at a time, like a single bright light shining on a spot, there will be clarity in the thoughts behind that reality, and confusion will be impossible. However, if several conflicting realities try to surface, that one we talked about earlier in this chapter, sex is dirty, save it for the one you love. Boy, get those two going at the same time, and are you going to have confusion? So if several conflicting realities try to surface simultaneously, like the three lights shining on one spot, there will be a mix, a confusion of the thoughts that generate the conflicting realities. Richard, I become aware of a few issues for myself to work out and heal from today's conversation. I'm sure we fired some realities for you to deal with in our interaction. Until you remove the conflicts and clarify your reality structure for yourself, confusion will tend to be the result of such a process. And so recognizing that confusion is one of the steps. You can go back and there's a series of shows that we did on healing crisis, and recognizing that, what I'm going to have to face if I'm going to move out of my old hostility and fear-based patterns is whatever's stuck in me that I've been hiding from myself. And so what does the healing process look like? On a physical level, healing looks like any kind of physical symptom you've ever had and low energy. On a mental level, healing looks like any kind of negative feeling that you've ever had and depression. On an emotional level, it looks like any kind of negative emotion that you've ever had. Physical symptoms, low energy. Mental, negative thoughts, confusion. Emotional, negative feelings and depression. That's just what the healing process looks like. And I don't care how much you don't want to face that, you don't want to deal with that. If you're going to heal, you're not going to have a choice, because you're going to get to face what's in there. And when you start facing what's in there, you're going to feel the energetic impact of whatever that particular issue is. It's just part of the process. And Jeannie, I don't know if you happen to have a link to the shows we did on healing crisis, but if so, perhaps you could put them in the notes. And if somebody wants to go back and give a listen, we did a pretty in-depth conversation about the healing process, if anyone wants to get more clarity on that one. And everything that we're doing, if you go back and access the 3,000 or 3,500 hours, whatever it is, of shows that are in our archives. And by the way, the best way I know to do that is through the iHeartRadio app. Many of the podcast apps that are out there limit you to 300 hours. And so it'll only show you 300 shows. Well, we've got well over 3,000. But the iHeartRadio app shows you all of those shows, so you can go back and select whatever you want. And, all 3,000 hours are about building the brain cells. And of course, you'll notice that sometimes I repeat myself. But you'll notice that if you go back and listen carefully to what I said last week, and then I repeated one of the ideas from last week, this week, it was tied to two different ideas. And next week I'll talk about it again and be tied to three other ideas. And then next week I'll bring the same thing up and it'll be tied to two still different ideas. And what we're doing with that whole thing is building brain cells. Remember the file folder effect, how things link together. You can't bring forward perceptual construct in your mind without there being brain cells for every aspect of the complexity of whatever it is that you're wanting to look at. You just can't do it. And the learning process can be a little bit tedious sometimes, but if you keep listening, you'll see how we're linking things so that the mind can bring forward a more complex, a more in-depth perceptual construct that moves us toward living truly as the presence of love in our lives. And that's what we're here to do, is to really, truly recognize ourselves, awaken to who we are as love, and bring that forward, literally incarnating that in our physiology and in our world. So that's what we're here to do. And we're honored that you're part of the conversation. We're excited. We're delighted. It is a blessing to just be with these principles. I feel so blessed that I've chosen to spend my life, and, I'm in about a little better than 50 years of doing this now. And it grows and it grows and it grows. And, as Judy said, at the 33-year point, from a simple mind shifter a couple of days ago, that she's really chosen to dig in and work, a whole new level of understanding, a whole new arena opens up. You go back and you hear the scriptures talk about, here a little, there a little, with stammering lips and another tongue will I speak to you. Now, ostensibly, that's supposed to be the Creator talking to us. But actually, the Creator has only ever spoken one language, and that's love. It's not that the Creator speaks with stammering lips and another tongue. It's that we listen with stammering ears and a blind, darkened set of ears. But of course, man projects, so that's now the Creator's fault. So as you wake up to the truth of being, and you begin to confront everything in your body's mind that can resonate through the file folder effect, and consistently, persistently apply the tool of forgiveness to remove that hostility, to stop the conversations about how it's about everybody else, to remove it and recognize that it's your own and it's about yourself, then you get to change the whole game of your life. And we're here to help that game to change. And we're delighted you're part of it. So, Miss Jeannie, do we have anything happening in the chat room or anybody out there in the phone queue with a hand up? Of course, if you're listening to one of those stations, and we're syndicated through several different stations, iHeartRadio is one of them. So if you're listening somewhere that we can't see you on our control panel, of course you can't have a conversation with us. However, if you call into the phone number 563-999-3581, you'll be listening to the show. And then when you're listening to the show, if you have a question, all you do is push 1 and we're having a conversation. So, Miss Jeannie, what's happening?
It is all quiet out here. Nobody has a hand up, and there's no questions in the chat room. So somebody press 1.
Well, we've just addressed some pretty deep wells, and I can't imagine that anybody could be listening and not have some question or refinement to either ask about or to add to the conversation, or another wrinkle in their process in their lives that this can be applied to. And so if you're out there, push 1. Let's have the conversation. The whole purpose of this show is to have that dialogue with you. And again, our call-in number, if you're listening on one of those stations we don't see in our control panel, it's 563-999-3581. And it's interesting, Jeannie, I just kind of heard, brain cells firing, heard an echo in my mind of the first time that Arya Rain is our granddaughter, if you're not familiar with her. She's now 3, and from the time she was 3 months of age, she spent at least 3 days a week with us. And the first 3 months, about every day she was here. It was just awesome. And so she has been building the brain cells since she was 3 months. Boy, I wish I had been. Hadn't had to wait a quarter of a century or so to wake up to it. But the echo, as I was saying, the phone number, I guess Ari was, 12, 14, 16 months or thereabouts. And one day, as Jeannie was giving the phone number out at the beginning of the show, Aria pipes up and 999. So I just kind of heard the echo of her voice in my brain. She's sound asleep right now. She's at the point now where at 3, about radio show time, she's ready for rest. And so she'll actually oftentimes come to Jean. She knows that, her nap time is during the radio show. So she'll come to Jean before the show and say, I want a snack. I want some chocolate milk, and I'm ready to sleep. And she'll just go and lay down and put herself to sleep, and she'll take about a 2-hour nap and get back up. And this morning we started the repair of her swimming pool. It's got a little plastic pool's got a leak in it, and we're going to finish that this afternoon and sow some buckwheat seeds in the new garden for a cover crop, get some green manure in this new garden space, and getting it set up and ready for next spring's planting. So Our tomato crop is slowed down. We're not getting enough that every 3 days we have to make another batch of tomato sauce. We had that the first few weeks of it going on, so we've got several quarts of this awesome fresh tomato sauce. I don't know how many tomato sandwiches we've eaten, probably 200. Our tomatoes have been very abundant, and they're still coming on. There's still dozens of flowers on the tomato trees. The biggest stalk on our tomato tree is about 11 feet tall now. Last year they were about 5 feet. We've been composting and really enriching the soil, and so it's back. It's up to just over 11 feet now. And so we get to play in the garden and to play with you. So what's on your mind? If I'd been in your hometown, local library or local school, university, high school, church, prison, whatever, community center, and I'd had the conversation I've had so far, if we just start out with Judy's understanding and comments and conversation to where we are now, how many, if I completed this whole conversation and just stepped down off the stage and you were in the audience, would get up and come over and say, hey, Michael, what about? I know that virtually everybody who's listening would do that if I were in your local hometown. And the purpose of the show is for us to have that conversation. And so let's imagine I've just finished this presentation, your local library, and I'm stepping down into the audience. And as I walk by your table, you grab my arm and you have, what about? How does this work? So what's your question? How can we support you? 3-999-3581. So we could be playing Simon and Garfunkel's The Sound of Silence right now, right, Jean?
Yeah, for sure. I was just thinking when you were talking about nobody has their hand up, so we'll talk gardening. We have harvested several quart jars of dried spices, dehydrated spices, and several tomato sauces. And so we're kind of getting set up for winter and storing up, teaching Aria to pick the strawberry this morning.
And chowed it down in a hurry, along with a couple of fresh tomatoes. I was wondering, maybe there's some gardeners out there that might be able to answer this question. I was looking at where we're going to sow this buckwheat as a cover crop on the 2 new sections of the garden. And I was wondering, we've got a few herbs left in the smaller garden and the tomato plants. And I was wondering if we could just go ahead and sow the buckwheat in there with those other plants, seeing as how we're so close to the completion of the season. And I don't know. If anybody has an answer to that question, I'd love to hear your thoughts. We're looking to just put a cover crop on it that we can plow back in before winter sets in, and then we're going to use some veach that we're told is a really good cover crop to overwinter and have it grow early in the spring and then plow back in. So we've got green manure going into enrich it. We just put 4,000 pounds of compost on it from the local landfill where they compost leaves and grass. So we're getting ready for winter. And it's interesting, we live in a neighborhood with a lot of homes in it, and it shocks me that people have this place in the front and the back of their houses where they can drill a little hole in the ground, kind of like an oil well, and it will spout up wealth. And with the garbage that's being served in most grocery stores today, it just amazes me that more people especially, people have been home with COVID, with not, working at home and all that they haven't, like, why wouldn't you be taking advantage of this wealth that comes from the ground that is really, truly, you can grow it organically with just loaded with nutrition. It's like the root of healthcare, although I know the drug industry's got us convinced that the root of healthcare is drugs. But I invite you to just really do some research, and you'll notice that along with every drug, there comes a little insert that says, here are the diseases that we're going to, now they don't say it this way, but this is the bottom line. Here, take this drug, here are the diseases we're going to introduce into your body when you take our drug. But this is healthcare. Excuse me, folks. It's not healthcare. But what you put in your mouth is an important starting point for your healthcare. And there's lots of documentation of that today, although there are many physicians. Of course, a physician spends years studying how to apply drugs to people's bodies, how to introduce diseases into their bodies. And maybe they'll get 4 or 5 or 6 hours about nutrition, which is the root of health. It's a pretty bizarre world, pretty crazy process we're going through. And how can we support you in your process? What's happening in your world? 563-999-3581. Since Dr. Tim finished early, we're, just past the halfway point, so we've still got 27 or 28 minutes. And I would like to have a conversation. Do you have any other thoughts, Jeannie, on gardening or any other topic?
Well, we had a hand just
Anything you'd
go
like
up,
to
and
share?
I believe it is Miss Julie Matthews from Oregon. Welcome.
Oh, cool. I was thinking about Julie this morning, so hadn't heard from her in several days. Hey, young lady, welcome. Hello, Julie. How are you?
Muted. Now I'm unmuted.
Ah, there we are. You have overcome your mute challenge. Awesome. Welcome.
It's a challenge. I've had to mute myself too much in life. I need to speak out more.
There you go. All right.
And yet I also get guidance to keep my good ideas to myself because my need to be heard and have my good ideas approved of, that kind of runs me a little bit. So I'm just pausing more
Well, we'll
often,
see if we can help by disapproving of some of them for you.
I know. Okay, well, they're all full of fear. I've got fear going on, and I haven't done worksheets
What's happening?
yet. It's coming up. I have old stuff from a brother and his wife thing, about a year old now, not unresolved. I have cramps in my legs, fear about the vaccination, and I have fear, I don't know, there's another one, but it's all there. So I would like support. And I know I can just do all of the above, so I will be doing that.
So we're here for support.
Thank you.
We're here to help you strengthen your legs, heal your legs, and stand on your own 2 feet with strength and power.
Oh, that's a good mind shifter. And let my legs take me where I want to go.
Say again?
And also let me take my legs, or let my legs take me where I want to go, instead of a conflict of going or not going. Wow, that's so cool that you made it symbolic instead of COVID's going to get me or the vaccine's going to get me. Thank you. And okay.
Big breath. What was that one?
Well, I'm trying to get in touch. I kind of created that breath, but I'm also thinking about my this other thing going on with me is my reunion is coming up, my 50th reunion next weekend, not this weekend, the 18th, and my partner doesn't really want to go, which is okay. We finally worked that out, that it's okay. And I'm sort of afraid to go. I don't know. I'm having resistance.
So remember our definition of denial? Do you hear the denial in that?
Denial. In me, my
What's
resistance?
the definition of denial? What's the definition of denial?
When we try to make it look like it's somebody else.
Yeah. So when I think or speak as though something outside of me is the cause of what's happening inside of me. So now you tell me there's fear and it's caused by the reunion. I have fear of going to the reunion.
Oh, okay. So I'm assigning cause.
Is the truth that you have fear, and the thought of going to the reunion is what brings it up.
Yeah.
So when you do it that way, then you can start to look at, so what's the root of my fear? Oh, well, I was 12. I can remember when I was terrorized by Johnny, or when I was 17, I remember I was touched inappropriately by Harry, or, I can remember when, Hortense and I were good friends and we had this huge fight, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you can start to see that your fear is linked through the file folder effect, to experiences. And when you forgive us to those experiences, then you tend to dissolve your fear. Then wherever you go, instead of fear, it's confidence, connectedness, and the presence of love. Yeah. And in that state, your guidance will tell you when and where to go and not to go.
Okay, thank you. So the worksheets I need to do are sadness about my brother and his wife. Okay, that sounds like denial. Okay, sadness is coming up in me about I'm feeling rejected. Let's see. Oh boy. Okay, I want to see my brother. I want to see my father in this trip when I go down to the reunion. I want to also see my family. And
right.
I'm being blocked by an unforgiveness. I guess I haven't forgiven myself. And I know that.
Well, remember we're going to caution you to never forgive yourself for anything or anybody else. But what is it that you've attached to self that needs to be forgiven to remove that block?
Oh, I think I'm to blame for my brother's not speaking to me. And her not forgiving me. And I don't even know what I did wrong. Yes, I do. I think I know what I did wrong. But still, she reacted so much, and I don't know how to mend it. Yes, I do. I know how to mend it.
You probably know exactly how to mend it. It's just, are you willing? You've got the responsibility communication tool. You've got the commitment tool. You've got the forgiveness tool.
Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't need necessarily her willingness. I do the work inside myself, my willingness, and then I can be an open space of love and listen rather than tell her, everything.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you clean up the fear in you and you go. She may rant and rave and scream and rage and, whatever. It's her stuff that's about. And you sit there and you breathe and you go, oh, I can see you're in a lot of pain. I can hold the space for that. I can hold the space for you. And let her do what she needs to do. As long as there's nothing in you to resonate with her pain, you can't be in pain and turmoil.
Yeah.
And if it comes up and you choose to forgive it, then you've just had the opportunity to remove that literally is a detriment to your own cellular structure as long as it's held in that particular part of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I hold a disintegrative energy in my big toe, some medical diagnostician is going to come along and tell me I've got the ABC toe disease. If I take the same energy and I put it in my kneecap, medical diagnostician is going to come along and tell me I have the ABC kneecap disease. If I hide that dis-ease energy in my lung, my liver, my heart, or my brain, some medical diagnostician is going to come along and tell me I have the ABC disease in my heart, my liver, my lung, or my brain. There's only one disease, and that's an energy that doesn't belong in me. I can pretend it's about something out there. I can pretend it's something wrong with my tissue structure. Or I can recognize that I'm holding an energy that doesn't belong, and I can choose to breathe that energy out. I can choose to free myself of it. I can choose to forgive that energy from my structure. And then my structure will go back to normal, and I'll carry on.
Wow. Thank you. I'm going to do this. I have time this morning. As soon as we're done with the show, I'm going to do a mind shifter, or maybe a short mind shifter that gives me my worksheet. Stand on my own two legs. That was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it's safe and healing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wait.
It's safe and healing.
Mm-hmm.
For me to open full communication in the presence of whatever your sister-in-law's name is.
In the presence. And that doesn't necessarily mean me telling her like it is. It's being a space of love.
That's it. And you can put your brother's name in there as well. You can put your dad's name in there. You can put your own name in there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, in the presence of, her name is Omi, my brother is Paul, my dad, and myself. Oh, this will be so good, and it'll open me even for the high school reunion of all the people that are going to be streaming in from my past to say hello.
It's like, whoa, how wonderful is it to welcome your past?
Yeah.
Even, I've met people from my childhood, over the years, people from my childhood that, we considered each other as enemies, and look at it now, and it's like, what silly crap were we doing back then? There's a story about a guy, and if I remember correctly, he was in Michigan. He was in his late 60s, and he heard that his brother was dying. And he, if I remember correctly, I believe he had diabetes, and so he didn't have a driver's license anymore. And he hadn't talked to his brother in 50 years. He couldn't remember why they weren't speaking. But since he didn't have a driver's license, he literally fixed up a riding lawnmower, and he drove from Michigan to California to see his brother on a riding lawnmower. Couldn't remember why they weren't speaking, but his brother was dying, and he knew he needed to get there. What are we doing? What are we doing today that's based in past unresolved dynamics that are senseless in the context of the truth and senseless in the context of us being human beings, being the presence of love? What are we doing to ourselves? And when do we stop? And when do we start treating ourselves as we say we'd like other people to treat us?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. This is so good because I see some of these things on the other side of the bridge, but it's going to walk that bridge. I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
So the thought that comes is I can see you excitedly writing a letter to your brother about how great it's going to be to see him, and to your sister-in-law, and to your dad. About how awesome it's going to be to connect after all this time.
Mm-hmm.
And how important each of them are to you, and how you recognize who each of them truly is, because you've begun to recognize who you are.
Wow. See, those are the things. Oh, that's what I always hide, Michael. I'm feeling it coming up, the sadness of hiding that. But writing a letter allows me to say the truth that I know. Whether or not they want to hear it, they don't have to. I do. I need to hear it.
You need to speak it, Yeah, that'd be my offering. And you can offer it, and how or whether it's not is received is not your business, unless you make it so, and then you can do, rejection or whatever. Or you can go, oh, okay. But here's how I am. Here's what I'm choosing. And, I got that letter you wrote about what you don't really want and all, And the truth is, here I am. I'm delighted to be seeing you and recognizing who you are.
Wow. I'm going to listen to this while I write, just to remind those ideas I might block out later. Thank you.
When you realize, the fact that a human life, when you recognize, one of the things we've been playing a lot with Arya, we found a new set of videos on YouTube by a kids group, singing group, and they sing about the planets, and it's really cute. But when you recognize that here we are in this galaxy with these 4 dwarf or 5 dwarf planets and 8 planets plus the sun, and as far as we know, we're the only human beings in this whole structure, and you realize that we get to have a human life where we can communicate as humans to other humans. We can open spaces of healing and support and communication and delight and aliveness. When you realize we're capable of that, it's like, how monumental is that?
It is. You're right. That's all I want to be. Yeah. It's so needed now, too. And I need to do my part in God's plan for salvation, but it's an inside job.
It's an inside job. You got it.
All of these people.
And the people in your life are going to show you the parts of you that won't allow you to keep that understanding. And remember that you can forgive those parts.
Yes.
How about a mind shifter?
Like the hidden parts, I need. They'll help me see what I'm trying to.
How about a mind shifter?
Yes. Go ahead.
As the people in my life show me the pained parts of my own mind.
Pained parts of my own mind. Okay.
I easily and joyfully breathe.
Okay.
Heal. And maintain awareness of who I truly am. People say, oh, I'm around that person, they can really bring me down. No, nobody can bring you down unless they're down in you, and somebody can resonate it. And if they resonate it, you can forgive it and be freed of it, rather than lost in it.
Okay.
Good breath.
Yeah.
What was the thought that went with that?
I feel so on the precipice of living this way constantly, and there's the recognition this work is the way, and I can keep it going constantly. And when I don't, I can ask for support.
Absolutely.
Come out of hiding.
Good breath. You got it. Yeah, let's come out of hiding. Let's make this the year, this coming year, the year of coming out of hiding.
Yes. Even in the seeming confrontation of the need to hide all the more because the world's getting scarier. This is just one more level of.
Is the world getting scarier, or is more fear coming up in you?
More fear is coming up in me.
So your world of perceptual constructs is more and more showing you your fear.
Mm-hmm.
And the beauty of that posture is when I can own that it's my fear, I can forgive it. And stand in a space of courage instead of fear.
Yeah, standing in a space of courage. And what?
Instead of fear.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we don't have to have fear just to feel courage.
That's right.
I think the miracles, we don't have to get sick so that we can see that we can heal from sickness, because it's not real.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to be sick to get better.
Yes. Okay, so I was starting to write, even as more fear comes up in me, I am committed to being
bold and courageous.
Bold and courageous.
As I express my true being. Might be another good mind shifter. By the way, for anybody who's listening, a mind shifter is a tool that we use to show through resonance what's hidden in the mind. If I say don't think about the color of your car, it's going to resonate the color of your car. If I say I am bold and courageous in my life, and there's in my mind, in the files on bold and courageous, there's fear and terror and trauma, then that mind shifter is going to bring those things up. And when they come up, that's when I can begin to choose to throw those energetic patterns out, to forgive them. And that's kind of the bottom line premise of this work. If it's in there, you can throw it out if you've got the tools. Now, of course, the tools have pretty much disappeared from the planet. I don't even know how many centuries ago. So we're just here reestablishing them and working to bring them forward. So delighted that you're part of the process.
Remember, Michael, that expression, energetic devotion?
I remember it. Yeah, that was a good insight for you. That
I still have a desire.
What are you devoted to?
Right. I have a desire to teach that or write that, but definitely the first step is to practice.
That would be a great book title.
No.
Go for it.
So I am making a commitment to be more and more devoted to the writing of the book that I am guided to write. Oh, that's so hidingly. I'm fearing I'm hiding from that. Oh, well, I'm going to breathe it through. I'm just going to keep breathing. The book that I am guided to write.
So you just acknowledged it to us, so know that we're holding space for you to do it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just get an empty notebook and see what comes and how it organizes itself.
Sweet.
I don't have to be figuring it out. I just trust the truth of it, and I feel more empowered by what I've been supported with you today to just trust looking at what I've been devoted to and looking at what I'd rather be devoted to.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
And remember that if you've been devoted to suffering and pain, that it's a process, and you apply forgiveness perhaps many, many times to literally remove that suffering and pain so that that courage and confidence has a space to come forward and be expressed.
Okay. That's my homework.
All right. Well, we'll hold the space that you're rocking and enjoy it.
It's a worthy assignment and a joy to live. Yes. Okay, Michael, I know you have a few minutes left, but I just need to take a few breaths here and be. Maybe you can give us a meditation or something. I'd really like that if you feel like it.
Okay. We'll see what happens with the phone queue. All right. That's love and blessings.
You too.
Okay, Miss Jeannie, we've got about 2 minutes here.
Yep, and there's no other hands up, so.
Well, let's take a minute to just invite everybody to close their eyes and take a big, deep breath. And as you do, I'm going to invite you to take your right hand. I want you to sit upright or stand upright. Take your right hand and put it up on top of your head and let it just slide down right above your ear. So you can kind of take a hold of the side of your head. And I want you to pull your head down with your right hand toward your right shoulder. And allow yourself to breathe, and then allow your eyes to point upward to the left, like you're trying to look up through the left top of your brain, of your cranium. Big breath, stretching the base of the skull away from the spine and just holding gently your head in that position. And then letting your head go back to center and using your left hand. Put your hand on top of your head, then let it just slide over so that your fingers are just above your right ear, and gently pull your head down to the left. Stretching your spine ever so gently, look up to the right. The show's going to close out. I'm just going to finish this out and let it just cut off. So as you're holding your head down toward your left shoulder, as far as comfortably can be done, look up to your right side as though you're trying to look up and out through the very top front corner of your head. And that next breath you take, allow it to just expand your whole chest cavity, your belly, so that your spine stretches out and your head moves away from your torso. Your torso moves away from your pelvis. Big breath, let it go, and just let your head to return to center. And know that you are the light of the world. Only light can come to you. Only light can be where you are. And blessings.